everyone. I'm Clint Hames, and welcome to another candidate interview in chillTV's continuing coverage of the BC 2020 election presented by Simpson Notaries. Today, I'm welcoming Andrew Coombes, who's running for the Libertarian Party of BC. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi.
Let me just start with a question to ask you. You're not a well-known person in political circles in Chilliwack. Certainly well-known in other ways. Maybe you could talk a little bit about who you are and what inspired you to run in this provincial election.
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Coombes. I moved to BC in 2006 from a small resource town in Ontario when they started building for the Olympics. I'm a tradesperson, been a tradesperson my whole life. When I first got out here, I actually moved to Chilliwack and started coaching with the Giants. So I coached 3 years of community football with the Giants before becoming an electrician put me on the road and let me travel the beautiful country that we have and see some very cool things. In 2012, I met my wife. We got married in a very libertarian ceremony last year where we didn't have to pay the government any money. We just got married in front of our friends and family. So that was a good bonus.
That's great. So what inspired you to get involved in politics?
I've always been politically active. I always feel that things need to change. We need small, accountable government, lower taxes. I hate seeing my money get wasted and my money going to do things like armed intervention in Wet'suwet'en territories and high taxes and not getting the services for it. And I've always been of the mindset that if I don't think they're doing a good enough job, I might as well step up and try to do a better one. So I believe I can do a better job than what we've gotten.
I think it's great when people want to get involved in the political process, having done so myself and felt somewhat the same way, that if you feel like you can do a good job, you should step up. Right now in British Columbia, we're facing a pandemic, as in fact the whole world is facing this pandemic of COVID-19. And what it's meant is governments have responded by spending significant amounts of money to try to keep the economy of our province moving, and certainly in the country to try to keep the country rolling. Even in the United States and other places, they're spending significant amounts of money. And I think most people support that notion. However, at some point in time, there'll be a day of reckoning, and we have to develop a plan to begin to dig ourselves out of that. What's the Libertarian Party think should be done as we begin an economic recovery? What's the plan?
So with the BC Libertarian Party, we sort of believe we do believe in the science of it all. And in a medical journal called The Lancet in July, they basically came to the conclusion that no matter how strict the lockdowns were or how lenient the lockdowns were, the infection rate of COVID was nearly the same. So we are of the opinion that if you give adults the proper information in a timely fashion, they will make adult decisions. And we first wouldn't be shuttering businesses. We would let them adapt to the new climate by enforcing social distancing rules or enforcing mask policies if that's what they feel they need to do. For getting the economy going, we have a few plans. One of them is to increase the personal income tax exemption from the $10,000 it is now up to $32,000. So basically the first $32,000 you make will be tax-free. And we believe that that'll be more money in somebody's pocket that they can then spend at a local business, which then means that local business can hire, and we can pump up the economy that way. On the business side of things, we want to get rid of the employer's health tax. That's just the regressive tax that stops from hiring. We want to eliminate all sin taxes because, as it's been proven over the years, sin taxes don't stop consumption. So there's no need to be punishing the poorer people by making them pay for alcohol or taxes on alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis. We also would stop subsidizing all big oil or any big business and the carbon tax. We don't understand why we are subsidizing oil and gas on one end and then paying a carbon tax on the other. It just seems like we were playing a shell game with our money. We believe that the individual better understands what to do with their money than the government does. So we want to put as much money in the hands of the individual as we can.
So would your party, Libertarian Party, support the position the Liberals have taken in terms of getting rid of the provincial sales tax?
Yes, but we just don't understand why it's for 1 year, because if it's not going to explode government to take it away for 1 year, why not take it away for 5 years, 10 years for good?
So the NDP and the Liberal Party, and I'm not sure the Conservative Party or others, have talked about making major investments in infrastructure over the coming 3 or 4 years as a way to stimulate the economy. That would put the province seemingly further in debt. Is that something that's supported by the Libertarian Party, or is that something you would see as excessive?
So we definitely support infrastructure, but of doing it a different way. We would do like toll bridges, for instance, would be a way where we would get businesses that could take the contracts on to build it, and then if they would like to charge a nominal fee for users to use it, then it keeps it out of the taxpayers' dimes, because especially under the NDP plan, where they call them community benefit agreements, but basically it's a union benefit agreement where 80% where all the work is union-only work, when 80% of all construction done in this province is by non-union workers. So you can't really call it a community benefit when only 20% of the workforce is benefiting from it.
So when you talk about then the infrastructure, you see the private sector as being the source of that infrastructure, that they would finance it and then they'd get revenue from it through tolls and things like that. That's the plan?
Yes, that would be our way to we also have things that would help we believe in ending ICBC and turning it to a members co-op and bringing in competition, but also selling the $80 million building that houses ICBC in North Vancouver. And once we sold that and other crown corporations that have monopolies, we could use that revenue to, whether it's invest in twinning the highway or speed rail or other technologies. There is a role for government to invest to keep things moving, but we just believe that it's better when the private sector does it, because the cost analysis they provide is always far superior than government's.
So let's talk about the Chilliwack riding that you're running in. And the community of Chilliwack. Obviously, you made a decision to live here. It's obviously something you love. So what do you think the priorities should be for government in the Chilliwack riding? What are the things that provincial government provides to us that you think they're not doing enough of, or that we need more of?
Well, I think that we would be advocating for more of the responsibilities that the province has downloaded to the cities, because they are the municipalities are the ones that are our direct government. They affect our lives more than the province does. But one major issue that in Chilliwack is the opioid addiction and the homelessness. And we believe in, at a very minimum, of decriminalization of drugs, if not legalization, because we feel that legalization will lead to not-for-profits stepping up and being the ones that can drive the issues of opiates, whether it's creating compassion clubs where people that are just recovering from fentanyl addiction can go and use a less lethal, less potent strain of an opioid. Or if it's doing a pilot project with other not-for-profits to do drug testing so that we know if they're getting the dirty fentanyl drugs.
So the Libertarian Party would support the notion of safe injection and safe supply administered by local nonprofits.
Yeah, we are definitely for safe injection sites, with the caveat that the municipality is for it. Like, we don't believe that an overarching one-size-fits-all is how to handle this problem. Like Chilliwack's issues are going to be different than Maple Ridge's issues, which are going to be different than Vancouver's issues. So we need to give the flexibility to Chilliwack to be able to deal with the issues that they face.
So what are the other issues that that you could see being downloaded to a municipality?
Well, I think that they're better at handling the zoning issues that, so right now, for instance, we have 3 different regulation boards for construction. We have the federal, that as an electrician I have to follow, the CEC. Then you have your provincial regulations and your municipal regulations. So that just adds housing cost, or cost to housing, whether it's low income housing or for market housing. We believe that the municipality should be able to decide the building code, and that's it. There shouldn't be a municipal one, or a provincial one adding to the costs of building houses.
Thank you very much for that. Very insightful, and you got a big supporter here of saying that local governments are closest to the people and certainly have the capacity to make good decisions. I want to thank you for joining us today, Andrew. And
one more thing I can say?
Sure.
So the other thing, it's back to the opioid issue, is the BC Libertarian Party would be the party to, as we've seen through the great investigative reporting that Global, the province, and CBC have done regarding money laundering and how the drug profits are connected to the Chinese Communist government. Our plan would be we would end all provincial trade that is controlled by the province with China and move it to another area. We are big free trade supporters, but we don't have to trade with people that are actively sending dirty fentanyl into our streets.
Thank you for that. As I said, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. And thanks to everyone who's watching. We'll be providing more interviews through the election season, and stay tuned to chillTV for that. Be sure to mark your calendars, as I've said often, for chillTV's October 24th BC 2020 election night coverage, presented by Simpson Notaries, and as I understand it, other sponsors who've come forward, which is great. We'll be starting at 7:30, 30 minutes before the polls closed, and I'll be joined, as I've said, by Bud Mercer and Don Lehn, who are regulars in the studio, as well as other guests like Scott Fast, Professor Emeritus from UFE, who's a political scientist with lots of great knowledge to impart to us on that evening. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.